Once upon a time, before the noise of the world got loud, and before comparisons ruled people's minds, there lived a crow that nobody paid attention to, not because it was invisible, but because it was ordinary, or at least that's what everyone thought. This crow wasn't flashy. It didn't have colorful feathers. It didn't sing sweet songs like other birds. It was just black, plain, rough, and constantly overlooked. And if you're listening to this right now feeling unseen, underestimated, or stuck wondering why your life doesn't look like everyone else's, trust me, this story is about to hit different. Every morning, the crow would sit on the edge of a tall tree and watch the world wake up. It watched parrots fly by showing off their bright green feathers like they owned the sky. It watched peacocks spreading their wings, soaking up attention like it was oxygen. It watched nightingales singing songs so beautiful that other birds would stop just to listen. And every single time the crow felt smaller, not physically but mentally. The crow started asking questions that quietly ruin lives. Why don't I look like them? Why don't I sound like them? Why does nobody admire me? Those questions didn't come all at once. They crept in slowly like cracks in a wall, until the crow no longer felt proud of being a crow. Day after day, the crow compared itself to every bird it saw. If a bird flew higher, the crow felt weak. If a bird sang better, the crow felt useless. If a bird got attention, the crow felt invisible. And comparison did what it always does. It poisoned the crow's mind. The crow stopped enjoying the sky, stopped enjoying flight, stopped enjoying life. Even food tasted dull because the crow was too busy thinking about what it wasn't instead of what it was. And that's how comparison works. It doesn't change your reality. It just changes how you see it. One day, the crow decided it was done being a crow. I don't want this life anymore, it thought. I want to be admired. I want to be special. I want to be loved. So the crow flew to a peacock and asked how it got so much attention. The peacock laughed and said, "It's simple. Look at my feathers." The crow flew to a parrot and asked the same question. The parrot smiled and said, "Learn to talk like humans. They love that." Then the crow flew to a nightingale and asked again. The nightingale said, "Sing beautifully and the world will listen." That night the crow couldn't sleep. Its mind was racing. It thought if it could just be like them, look like them, sound like them, act like them, life would finally feel worth living. So the crow tried. It tried to sing like the nightingale, but its voice cracked. Birds laughed. It tried to mimic humans like the parrot, but the words came out wrong. Humans ignored it. It even tried to decorate its feathers, but the colors faded and looked fake. And every failure hit harder than the last because now the crow wasn't just unhappy, it was embarrassed. That's the danger zone right there. When comparison turns into self-rejection. When you don't just wish you were different, you start hating who you are. The crow started avoiding other birds. It stopped flying during the day. It hid in shadows, convinced it wasn't good enough to be seen. And slowly, without realizing it, the crow became unhappy, not because it was a crow, but because it believed being a crow wasn't enough. One afternoon, exhausted and defeated, the crow landed near a village. It watched humans from a distance. Some laughed. Some argued. Some struggled. Some smiled. And for the first time, the crow noticed something strange. The humans who looked the happiest weren't the richest or the loudest. They were the ones focused on their own lives, not watching others. Meanwhile, the most miserable humans were constantly comparing who had more, who did better, who looked better. That's when the crow overheard an old man talking to a child. The man said, "The moment you stop comparing, life gets lighter." Those words hit the crow like a lightning strike. It realized something powerful. No bird was competing with it except itself. The peacock wasn't trying to be a crow. The parrot wasn't jealous of the nightingale. Every bird was busy being what it was meant to be, except the crow. The crow had been fighting its own nature, and that fight was draining the life out of it. Days later, a storm hit the land. Heavy rain, violent winds, trees shaking, smaller birds panicked. Peacocks couldn't fly properly because their feathers got heavy. Nightingales hid because they couldn't sing over the thunder. Parrots struggled to keep balance. And that's when something wild happened. The crow flew effortlessly through the storm. Its strong wings cut through the wind. Its dark feathers absorbed the rain. It guided lost birds to safety. It found food when others couldn't. In chaos, the crow didn't just survive, it led. For the first time, other birds looked at the crow with respect. Not because it tried to be someone else, but because it owned who it was. The crow finally understood the truth most people learn too late. Your strength isn't in copying others. It's in embracing what you already have. The very thing the crow hated about itself, its toughness, its resilience, its adaptability, was the reason it thrived when others couldn't. From that day on, the crow stopped comparing. It flew when it wanted. It rested when it needed. It stopped chasing attention and started living with purpose. And life didn't suddenly become perfect, but it became peaceful. That's the real win. Not perfection, peace. This story isn't really about a crow. It's about you. Every time you scroll and feel behind. Every time you see someone winning and think you're losing. Every time you question your worth because your life doesn't match someone else's timeline. You're not failing. You're just comparing. And comparison is a thief. It steals joy. It steals focus. It steals confidence. It makes you forget that you have your own strengths, your own pace, and your own path. You don't see the full story behind other people's success. You don't see their stress, their sacrifices, their sleepless nights, their doubts. You only see the highlight. And comparing your whole life to someone else's highlight is the fastest way to feel miserable. Just like the crow, you're built for a different storm. The skills you think don't matter right now might save you later. The pace you hate might protect you from burnout. The path you're on might be shaping you for something bigger than you can see. Here's the real talk part. You're not late. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're becoming. And becoming doesn't look pretty. It's messy. It's quiet. It's uncomfortable. But it's necessary. Stop trying to be a peacock when you're built to be a crow. Stop chasing applause when you're meant to build endurance. Stop shrinking yourself because you don't fit someone else's mold. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs you raw, real, and unapologetically yourself. The moment you stop comparing yourself to anyone, you get your power back. Your energy comes back. Your confidence comes back. You stop asking, why them? And start asking, what's next for me? And that shift changes everything. So the next time comparison creeps in, remember the crow. Remember that storms reveal strength sunshine never needs. Remember that your value isn't measured by attention, likes, or timelines. It's measured by how true you stay to who you are. Stay in your lane, fly your way, and trust that being different isn't a weakness, it's the whole point.